Hi everyone, this is Ali Hussein Kasim from Ali Talks Tech. In this week's weekly roundup of tech news across Africa, we are going to be covering a couple of interesting stories. First, the Open Finance Initiative, or OFI, by financial sector deepening Kenya, the Kenya Bankers Association, and the Association of Fintechs in Kenya. They will cover the global and blockchain payments stack that I shared a couple of days ago on LinkedIn. I would really love to have a conversation on that. Then we'll head to West Africa, where the Central Bank of West African States has launched a groundbreaking instant payment system called SICA-UEMOA. Then we move to South Africa, Zimbabwe, where Sasai Fintech, which is fintech company owned by Cassava Technologies, has launched an interesting partnership with Airtel Africa to offer remittances across Africa. This will be interesting. I will discuss that a little bit more as we move along this afternoon. Last but not least, I've decided to delve now into this conversation between Starlink and what is happening across Africa, not just in Kenya. Starlink's rapid expansion in Africa, is it a game changer for connectivity? More on that. Back to OFI, the Open Finance Initiative that has just been launched in Kenya. The partnership between FSD Kenya, Kenya Bankers Association, and the Association of Fintechs in Kenya. This is groundbreaking. The Open Finance Initiative aims to revolutionize Kenya's financial landscape by, one, fostering innovation and competition, enhancing financial inclusion and wellness, driving growth in the financial services sector. Through open finance principles, we are working to create a more inclusive, efficient, and customer-centric financial ecosystem. Hopefully, we'll enable the sharing of consumer financial data between providers with consent and with consideration of the data protection laws that are prevalent in the country, hopefully to develop better products and services for the consumer. Our key focus areas: researching open finance implementations in Kenya, identifying potential business models and use cases, developing policy proposals to support the implementation. The three organizations invite all stakeholders in Kenya's financial ecosystem to join us in this transformative journey. Your participation is especially crucial in shaping the future of financial services. How can you contribute? Number one, you can participate in research through our stakeholder surveys. You can engage in roundtable discussions, workshops, and forums. And then you can advocate for regulatory changes to support open finance. We look forward to this engagement and as many players as possible to engage with us. Now, back to this global blockchain and payments stack that I shared a couple of days ago. I really love this infographic that was shared by my good friend Mustafa Kugu in our WhatsApp group. However, as I specifically mentioned, it lacks essential players in Africa. So I really wanted to add on to that. Number one, first, Africa is evolving and emerging as an innovation powerhouse in fintech and financial services. While the traditional and blockchain payment stacks are well represented globally, it's crucial to spotlight the African players making significant strides in this space. So let's look at the payment stack first. Let's look at point of sales. Yoko, which is a South African company, Fintech, is transforming how SMEs accept payments. PesaPal in Kenya is now the leading POS operator, supplanting the banks. MoneyPoint Group in Nigeria is king in this space. Let's move now to payment aggregators in Africa. Flutterwave, Cellulant, Paystack, and other leading fintechs are facilitating seamless transactions across the continent. E-wallets. This conversation would not be complete without the mention of M-Pesa, Orange Money, Airtel, MTN Momo, and other mobile operators who have revolutionized mobile money and financial services across Africa. I think it's now a given that mobile money is the new rails for financial services across Africa. Then we go to bank acquirers. EcoBank Transnational comes to mind, KCB Bank Group in Kenya, Equity Bank, UBA, and other major African players. All these banks facilitate payments by acting as acquirers for global payment players like Visa and MasterCard. They'll go to blockchain payment stacks, on and off-ramp, Yellow Card App, Busha, and Lino. These cryptocurrency exchanges are making it easier for Africans to buy and sell digital currencies. Then we have asset issuers like Cheaper Cash, offering cross-border payments and integrating crypto solutions into their services. Last but not least, we have settlement layers. Settlement layer player like Zone, which is a Nigerian company that is making webs and has developed Africa's first regulated layer 1 blockchain network for payments. These companies are enhancing financial wellness and inclusion and driving economic growth across the continent. So, my good friend Mustafa, thank you very much for that infographic. It just made me aware that we in Africa need to take control of our own content and create some of these infographics. So keep it here. We shall be doing that going forward. We then move to Central Bank of West Africa. The Central Bank of West African States has launched an interesting instant payment system. This platform is set to revolutionize financial transactions across the Western African and Economic Union. These are the key highlights. It only covers 8 countries for now. Hopefully this will spin out to other countries: Benin, Burkina Faso, Cote d'Ivoire, Guinea-Bissau, Mali, Niger, Senegal, and Togo. It enables real-time 24/7 money transfers. PesaLink comes to mind in Kenya. It supports both individual and bulk payments. It supports access to channels like mobile money, internet, and ATMs. This is a significant move, and it will help to further integrate West Africa. And it's a testament to the region's commitment to embracing digital innovation in the financial sector. The thing that worries me, though, is that different regions in Africa have their own different payment infrastructure, remittances infrastructure. They're all developing despite the Africa Free Zone initiative payment platform called PAPS. So I think there is a need for the continent to come together and speak with one voice, led by the political structure called the African Union through the Africa Free Trade Zone, helped along by banking associations across the continent and the Africa Fintech Network, which is an umbrella organization of 43 national fintech associations across Africa. Key to note here, well, not key to note really. I think it's important for me to say that I am a board member of the Africa Fintech Network, and I serve as the vice president for the East African region. And I can see how pivotal organizations like the Africa Fintech Network can play in this conversation to create a pan-African, uniform, singular payment ecosystem, as opposed to having these fragmented and balkanized payment initiatives across Africa. We now move to Sasai and Airtel Money partnership. This is interesting. Sasai Fintech is a fintech owned by the conglomerate called Cassava Technologies, which also owns players like Econet Wireless, owns players like Liquid, Africa Data Centers, and so on and so forth. This implication is interesting because one of the biggest problems with remittances is that every country must issue a money transfer operator's license for any operator to play in that space. So I'm wondering how Sasai and Airtel has navigated this space, or is it that they're only going to be operating in the regions that both these companies have a central bank license? It will be when successful, this will be an interesting use case for other players to take advantage of. Lastly, I want to cover the story of Starlink's rapid expansion in Africa. Elon Musk's broadband provider Starlink is making significant strides in Africa and potentially reshaping the continent's telecommunications landscape. As of May 2024, Starlink has launched services in 8 African countries, with plans to expand to over 15 more by the end of this year. Its African journey began in Nigeria in February 2023 with a license, followed by Rwanda, Mozambique, Kenya, Malawi, Zambia, Benin, and Eswatini. I think everybody, at least if you're in Kenya, you have followed the hullabaloo and the noise around Safaricom writing to the regulator about Starlink and why Starlink should partner with players, why they shouldn't be licensed, and so on and so forth. Let me note down the potential implications for African telcos. Number one, obviously, increased competition. Traditional telcos in Africa now potentially face a formidable competitor in Starlink. This satellite provider's ability to offer high-speed, low-latency internet in rural areas where fixed and mobile networks struggle could significantly disrupt the market. However, I must say the point where the price point is still an issue for many Africans. So I think before people start saying this disruption is complete, Starlink may have to address the price point very significantly. However, despite the major talk around disruption, there's a whole lot of areas where Starlink can partner with the telcos. While it is a threat, it also presents opportunities for collaboration. For instance, in Nigeria, Starlink has partnered with Africa Mobile Networks to provide data connectivity for remote base stations. This model could be replicated with other telcos across the continent. There's going also to be pressure to improve on infrastructure. The entry of Starlink may force existing telcos to accelerate their network improvements and expansion, particularly in underserved areas, to remain competitive. This brings me to the point of infrastructure or digital and tech infrastructure that governments across Africa are investing heavily in. In Kenya, we have NOFPI, the National Optical Fiber Backbone infrastructure project, where billions of money, billions of shillings have been poured into this network, but still quite a lot of this fiber remains dark fiber, which simply means has not been used. So there is an issue around connecting to the last mile. Is this something that Starlink and the telcos can actually partner with? Then there are regulatory challenges. Starlink's expansion hasn't been without hurdles. In some countries like Angola and Zimbabwe, regulatory issues have delayed or complicated launches. How does the road ahead look like? As it continues its expansion across Africa, telcos must adapt to this new reality. Those that can innovate, potentially partner with Starlink and focus on improving their own offerings stand to benefit in this evolving landscape. However, companies that fail to respond may find themselves losing market share in an increasingly competitive environment. The arrival of Starlink in Africa marks a significant moment in the continent's telecommunications history. It promises to bring connectivity to previously underserved areas, potentially accelerating digital inclusion across the continent. For telcos, this presents both challenges and opportunities that will shape the industry in years to come. That's it, guys, for this week's weekly roundup of tech news across Africa. Looking forward to catching up with you guys next week again. Thank you.